What's up, Facebook family? So I'm back again. Second video. I'm gonna try to make this a reel. I was looking back at my video that I first made, and I was kind of like dissecting it and seeing, like, putting myself in the shoes as somebody that doesn't know business, that has no experience, and I was kind of like, like, you know what? This guy is just, vaguely speaking about things, but he's not going in depth about how can I make money. How am I going to move up the corporate ladder? So I'm going to move backwards. The four ways of making money. There's an employee, which is ultimately a job, which is the acronym, and no offense to anybody, just over broke. And that what you're really doing is you're trading your time for a paycheck. Okay, now self-employed, that means that you accumulated or saved enough money or invested for your money to work for you, and you're able to open up, for example, a dollar store. Okay, now being self-employed, you have to be there all the time. You don't have any employees yet. You just opened it up, and maybe you have relatives that can come in and take over some shifts, but ultimately you're going to be there all the time. It's very time consuming. It correlates with being exhausted and burnout and mental health, and because it's super hard to run. Now, if you eventually make it out of that or hurdle over that obstacle of being self-employed, and you invest, kind of like the way you got from employee to self-employed, you're able to move on to business owner. Now, as a business owner, now you have duplicated yourself. You've trained somebody to run your business, and you have more time to step away, not for freedom, not for vacations yet, but even though it does come with it, but as far as it's more to invest. And basically, business owner is the time that they have to step away. I always resort back to, it's kind of like your car, right? Your car is running good. You have a newer car, whatever, or even an older car. It's running good, and as long as you take care of everything, and you're not really like racing it or whatever the case may be, the only thing you really need to do is oil changes, tire rotations, and the car runs good. So that's what a business owner does. They step away, they let the duplicated version of themselves run it, and then they come back, they check up and see what's going on, and sometimes they just need to add more oil and let it keep on running, and they go about their business to try to be an investor. And if the business owner does find something wrong with the motor, as far as, like, that's what the analogy that I'm using for the business, they'll need an oil change. Now, an oil change is like kind of like firing people, clean house. And unfortunately, that's just the way business is. It's cutthroat, and sometimes you have to do some really hard decisions. Even though you have a humble worker or whatever the case may be, you have to do what's beneficial for you and your family, because your business, it can't bleed. If you're paying out paychecks to people because you have a good heart and you want to help people, ultimately you're going to have to close down, and that person's just going to go to another job, and you're going to be stuck with depression, and you're going to be in and out of psych wards, or whatever the case may be. So let's move on to investor. So an investor is definitely more free time, because they already make sure that their business is running, and they're checking up with conference meetings or conference phone calls, and checking up on the managers and however many businesses they have, whether if they spider web it across the United States or globally, or only 5 or 6 businesses, whatever the case. Now they ultimately have more freedom. They have more time to make their money work for them, as far as investing in real estate, life insurance, other things, etc. I'll be covering in other videos. Now, for somebody that's watching this video that's in sales, that has no idea, that's, they're scared, they're out of college, because I've had the privilege of interviewing, people with master's degrees in business and administration, and unfortunately I had to turn them down, because they were awesome at computers, they were awesome at PowerPoints, they were awesome at organizing files and putting everything in alphabetical order and all that, but when you put them out into the field with face-to-face interaction, they were like a deer stuck in headlights. So, my forum, as far as hiring, I do a 3 screening, where it's an interview at first at the office. They give me a resume, I threw it away, and I say, that's what you want me to see. I break down the barrier and see who they really are, talk in their lingo, whether if they're from the streets or they're really highly intelligent, whatever the case may be. I talk in that language, and I break down that barrier to see who they really are, what their intentions are. Who do you live with? Do you have kids? What are you trying to get out of this? Because you can use anybody, and I don't want to say use, you can help each other. That's a better way of saying it, because once you figure out if the person is going to be dedicated to your company, your business, whatever the case, and they're there for longevity, then you know where to place them. Now, if they're there for just a check, that's fine. Everybody needs employees, but in order to expand, you need managers. Okay, so all right. So for the people that are in sales or going into sales, because entrepreneurship blew up, but back in the day, an entrepreneur meant like you were a bum. You didn't know what you were gonna do. But now it's just exploded into it's so oversaturated now. Everybody's a life coach, everybody's a business owner, everybody's a mentor, everybody's all these titles, and I hate that BS. So somebody starting off in sales, straight out of college, uh, focus on C factors, which is smiling, eye contact, excitement. But also, you don't want to be too excited. You want to just kind of be a little bit more excited than the customer, and do an awesome presentation. Now, as far as presentations, I wanted this to be a reel, but it might just be a video. I'm going on 6 minutes. So, as far as the presentation goes, I mean, all sales is it goes back to grade school, the circles of compare and contrast. What do they have? What don't they have? And in the middle, what's the same thing? Because I mean, if you really look at, let's say, telecommunications, Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, they basically all got the same deals. The only difference is how much hotspot they're going to give you, or their prices on their phones. And I was there for the transformation of owning the phones to financing them, and it was kind of like it was a test to see what consumers are going to go with. And I would always tell consumers, you're better off paying for the phone outright because you keep it instead of putting a down payment and then paying ultimately the retail price for it, which would be like $1,000. And people would blow my mind, and they would be like, no, I'd rather put the $30 down and pay the monthly payment with interest, like a car note. So eventually that choice got taken away by telecommunication companies that said, you know what, these people are just falling for it. We're just going to finance them the phone. We make more money and they think they're happy. So, I mean, my advice is finding a phone on the street cheaper, not on the street necessarily, like, because it could be stolen or blacklisted, but, like offer up, like I mentioned, they sell iPhones outright. They have stores that the stores utilize this platform to sell their products, and you can find an iPhone 17 for probably like 400 500 bucks, and rather than paying through the store or getting an upgrade or doing an early upgrade and having whatever you have remaining left go onto the portion, so that you're basically in a hamster wheel where you're nonstop paying of a payment, and you want to keep up with the Joneses, and you want to keep up with the newest phone because they made it seem like it's the Lamborghini of phones. So if you have an Android, you're broke, or like this. So like, where's my Android phone? I have both. When Android first came out, Android had every single option that iPhone had now, way before iPhone. Everything, you name it, better picture quality, processors, all that. Now the difference between iPhone and Android, what I found is that the processors and the updates are more, how could I say it? They're more reliable. The processors are faster because Android, they produce on a mass level. Now, if you guys have noticed, iPhone is always released every year right before Christmas, and like right now, I think they already released a newer iPhone now. Now, me, I have the iPhone 11, and I'm perfectly fine with it. I do the updates, and it's like the only thing that you're missing with the newer iPhones is picture quality, storage. But the ways around it is Apple sells you storage for $1 a month to fit like 50 gigs of extra storage. Now, as far as the picture quality, that depends if you like the clarity of, or you're a professional photographer, or you do videos through your iPhone. Then yeah, okay, then the newer phone is better for you. So and this is not scripted. This is all freestyle, just off my knowledge and what I'm trying to spread. And I know this is a little bit more rapid, but if you just slow it down, go back and take notes on it and apply it, and then I'll be elaborating more on other videos as far as people giving me more feedbacks. One, I already give you guys a way to make more money aside from your jobs. I give you the structure on how to employee to self-employed to business owner to investor. That right there is those are key themes. Now I want to talk about a little bit about psychology, neuroplasticity, trying something new, because obviously this ties into what I just explained. If you're already used to doing a job and you're dependent on your 401k, you're dependent on your pension and retirement, good luck, because the people that I've seen retired and the people that I've talked to, because I don't really talk to anybody my age. They're all on disability, they're all on veterans, or they're all on their 401k or their pension, and they're barely surviving. They're barely above water. Right now, the economy, the inflation is at 30%. It's the highest that it's ever been in history. But they don't publicize this because they don't want us to panic, and the shelves will go clean and people will start hoarding food and all this, whatever. Don't worry about the negatives. But I'm just letting the truth be out there. It is what it is. So trying something new. So neuroplasticity, it will go play into something as small as, we'll start with, if you're right-handed and you brush your teeth with your right hand, start using your left hand. Brush your teeth with your left hand. And that right there, it starts a pathway in your brain to let your brain know, okay, I'm gonna try something new, and you won't be so resistant to try that one new thing. So trying new things, me included, even doing this, I was pacing before I made my first video, and I was like, having anxiety attacks, and like, oh, what are people gonna think, or how am I gonna format this, and should I take notes? And ultimately, I came up with, just freestyle it and just say your knowledge, and whoever takes it, whoever doesn't, doesn't. And I go back to my shirt: stay humble, hustle hard, and that's basically what I'm doing. I hustle hard, I stay humble, and like I said before in my previous video, I don't like titles. I don't like being known, or like not being known as far as like people applauding me or looking at me like I'm a god or a guru. No, I don't want none of that. I'm just like an average person. I come from a broken home. I come from a poor area. I come from the hood, so to speak. So growing up in the streets, my mom passed away when I was 6, and my dad was into whatever. It doesn't matter. But I just want to say that you can change that. You can change your environment. There's whatever city you live in. I've talked to multiple kids in different cities that I go to, and some of them have told me that I haven't even been downtown. And I'm like, whoa, like what? Like wherever city I go to, I get lost in the city. I go everywhere that I could possibly can, and just to explore and learn new things. It's just the way I am, and I want to spread that to other people, because I feel like if I hold back this intelligence or this knowledge or wisdom, and there's a big difference between being intelligent and wisdom. Knowledge and intelligence comes from books, schooling, Bible, and etc. Now wisdom is a gift. Is definitely a gift. It's not something that comes from. Well, yeah, it ties into experience and all that. But wisdom is ultimately, it's a gift, and I'm not gonna say that I possess it. You guys would be the judge of that. So I'm just gonna leave on my 12 minutes. So I guess it's not gonna be a reel. It's just gonna be a video. And I'll continue to make more videos and tailor it as far as people's what the feedback that I've gotten from the videos. And so far, it's been excellent feedback. I love it. I'm grateful. I thank you guys for taking the time for even looking at my videos, or even taking the time because I know the attention span has been decreased drastically by what I call doom scrolling, and just those 5-minute videos on TikTok, and those videos that you just want to get to the point. If not, you're just scrolling and you're scrolling and you're scrolling, and by the time you know it, you're going through a rabbit hole. Now, the same device that you're watching me on this right now, that's $1 million device that's in your hand. You can use this and utilize this in the right way, instead of instead of using it for distraction or for fun, which is not wrong. But if you're somebody that's ambitious, or somebody that wants to get ahead in life and is struggling, use that phone. Start making content. Every single one of us possesses a gift that I don't have, or the next person doesn't have. And I've seen this, I've witnessed this to this day. Even earlier today when I had a group meeting, some of the people that are interns, and that, they were just, it just mind blew me on the way they were, and I told them I love being corrected. I just love it. Some people are prideful, and some people left the group, and they got bothered and left the group because their ego wasn't being fed, and they weren't the dominant speaker rather than the last video. But hey, that's them. The group, the whole reason of the group is to lift each other up and learn from each other's experiences and not make the same mistakes. And phones took that away from society. Is people don't talk anymore. If an alien was to come to this world and wanted to observe us and say, let's see the human beings, who do they honor, who's their god? They would say the phone. You look on the bus, people are like this. You look on the trains, people are like this. People are walking, they're tripping over, they're hitting the poles, they're getting hit by cars because they're like this. An alien from the outer space, or somebody, whatever the case, they're gonna say that the human's god is their phone. So use the phone as a good source. AI, everybody's all against AI and they're taking jobs and all this. Okay, adapt. Even billions of years ago, when the dinosaurs were around, the only creatures that survived were the ones that adapted to the circumstances and the environments. The rest of them got extinct. So it's like, I have a problem. Okay, I'll admit this. I have a problem. I have a problem that I think that everybody thinks like me. That's why I was so reluctant and so this you making YouTube videos and all this stuff has been. I, I started watching YouTube when it first came out, when they barely had like a few videos. But I always wanted to make videos, but I was like, well, somebody probably already thought about it or somebody already talked about it. And come to find out, somebody else would talk about it and elaborate about my idea, and I would be like, damn, I missed out. So I'll give you an example. Um, with the new age rap and all this, because I grew up on rap and all types of genre, Frank Sinatra, the Rat Pack. You know, I'm old school. I'm old soul. But you know, I came up with an idea with my ex at the time, and I said, you know what, they should come up with a radio station as far as like hits that are from like us, like Tupac and you know, Twister, Do or Die, whatever, you know, them. And then I just, you know, I let it go. I'm like, somebody probably thought about it. Sure enough, nope, nobody did. And I got a phone call from my ex. She's like, you're not gonna believe it. I was like, what? She's like, somebody took your idea and now they have a radio station. Then they're playing nothing but oldies of like the 90s hits. And I'm like, damn it. And I tuned into the radio and they didn't have no commercials because I don't know if you guys know, they make their money from advertisements and commercials. And they had no commercials. They had like one commercial, if that. And then now it's a long advertisements, commercials from pharmaceuticals to I don't that's a whole nother story. But it's amazing to me that I passed up so many opportunities by having this mindset that somebody probably thought about this or somebody's already doing it or somebody's already working on it. But no, what you possess right now, the ideas that's in your mind, it's if you don't use it, yeah, somebody else is gonna they're gonna take it. Eventually they're gonna find it and they're gonna use it. And it's just it's sad, but at the same time, it's just I'm just trying to create awareness that we all have gifts as far as whatever it is. If you're an artist, if you're you know, good at public speaking, if you're good at building things in construction, and you have these skills, think about the people that are just starting off and artists, and they need help as far as like imaginations, or like the new construction worker that needs help on how to hold a certain hammer a certain way to get the nail in. It's just, you know, spread this knowledge, because if I didn't spread this knowledge, if I wasn't doing this for free, I'm not making any money off this. I don't know if YouTube's gonna pay me. I don't even keep up with none of that. I don't care. I'm just trying to spread this to other people to prosper, and we could, you know, make the pendulum swing from, you know, the elites and all these rich people, you know, taking advantage of consumers. And ultimately we're the ones that are paying their bills. We're, you know, taxes and all this, and that's a whole other story for another video, probably a whole other channel. But it's just, you know, it's unjust to me. It's unjust. Now I'm already at 17 minutes. That's crazy. Going on 18. So as far as lowering your bills, I'm gonna leave that for another video. But there is ways of lowering your bills and negotiating with them instead of just looking at the bill and saying, damn it, it went higher again, and just paying the bill. My grandfather was a victim of that. He never questioned anything. He would just get the bill and he would pay it. And I would grab his bill and I'd be like, no, grandpa, like this is, hold on, let me get on the phone. And I would lower the bill by more than $100. And if you add up $100 in 12 months, that's $1,200. What would you do if I handed you a $1,200 check? Everybody that I've asked this, oh, we'll go on vacation. Okay, well, start saving the money. Start using this terminologies that I'm going to be elaborating with in other videos, because I'm at 18 minutes. I don't want to make this long because of the attention span. But you guys have a great one. Good night. Thank you for tuning in. I know I'm not dressed up, but I just wanted to relate that I don't always dress up. I'm not. I'm the same person, you know, all the time. But I want to relate to a vast variety of people. I don't want to just relate to the people in shirt and ties and, you know, suits and I'm this or I'm entitled. No, none of that shit. All right, you are just as entitled as the next person. You are just like me. There's no difference. We're human, and we all have feelings. We have emotions. We have needs, and that's another thing I want to cover too. Is the, you know, the 5 human needs. I'll give you a little before it hits 20 minutes. One of them is uncertainty, and the other one is certainty. You're like, what? That doesn't make sense. Well, certainty is because you want something that's for sure, your paycheck every time, or this or that. Now you need, with certainty comes boredom. You get bored, and then you want uncertainty, which is like the unpredictable. You know, something new. And people don't like to be shocked, but they like to be surprised. That makes sense. And I'll leave it with that. I got 15 seconds left to make it a 20-minute video. I didn't think it was going to be this long, but I had to correct myself with the audio. It wasn't working right. That's why I'm kind of speaking a little bit louder and being a little bit more, I don't want to say aggressive, but more, I don't know. But you guys have a great night. You know, blessings to all. Hopefully this video reaches and helps somebody, at least one person. If I can help one person, that's good enough for me. Y'all have a good one, and see you guys next video.